Holly with Stella Quilts, and we're continuing our series on 50 blocks for 50 states. Check out the description below for the information on the book that we're using with the permission of the publisher. Today we're going to work on the block for Connecticut, so let's get started. For the Connecticut block, we're going to need 4 8-inch squares. I have 2 out of my light and 2 out of my dark. We're also going to need 4 4.5-inch squares. Again, 2 out of our light and 2 out of our dark. I'm going to put these smaller squares aside for right now, and we'll come back to them later. The first step is to cut away parts of our square. So I've lined my squares up, all 4 of them stacked together, on my mat, so I can use the ruler of my mat to help with this cutting. I'm going to go from the corner to 3 inches down from the side. So that's going to be right here on my mat. And then I'm going to come from the same corner to 3 inches across the bottom here. So I'm going to lay that back down to that 3-inch mark. Now I'm going to swap my lights and my darks. Just put that down there. It's up. And I'm going to sew these side pieces to the center. When I sew it to the center, if I can get this apart, there we go. I'm going to sew it so that the point of the side extends 1 inch past the point of the center. So I'm going to just go ahead and use my mat to check that. Yep, that's 1 inch. And then I'm just going to sew down the side. We're going to be trimming this up to the right size when we're done, so don't worry about things not quite lining up. But I'm going to go ahead and do that to all 4 of these, and then we'll do the second side. So I have the side triangles sewn to one side of the center piece here. There's some funky excess fabric at the top here. If you want, you can trim that off just by lining up the edge of your ruler along the side of the center, and then just trim that off so that you have a nice clean edge for the next step. The next step is to sew the second side piece onto the center. We're going to do it the same way we did the first, by extending the point out by 1 inch past the top, and we'll sew down the side seam and then press. Now that we've sewn the sides onto the center for both of these, we have 2 with the white in the center and 2 with the dark, the blue in the center. And now we're just going to square these up to 6.5 inches. To do that, I'm going to use my squaring tool here. And I want to make sure that up at the point here, I have at least 1/4 inch for my seam allowance. I also want to try and make sure that my 45-degree line here will go all the way out to the point, so that the center is centered on all of them, and that I'm evenly trimming the sides as best as possible. Now that that's lined up, there's not a lot to trim. Like this side didn't have anything to trim, So once I've got that first corner nice and squared up, I'll rotate it and then square the other two sides. There's hardly anything to square on the side pieces. It's mostly just trimming off the excess for that. But then this is what that part looks like. So I'm going to square the rest of these and we'll jump into the next step. Now that all my units have been squared up to 6.5, the last thing we're going to do for these is we're going to snowball the final corner here. So I've already drawn a line from corner to corner on my smaller squares. And I'm just going to line that up on the corner. And then I'm going to stitch on the line from corner to corner, trim a 1/4 inch away from the seam, and then press back. All the blocks are now snowballed. They've all been pressed. And now we just need to arrange the block. So we're going to put our lights in opposite corners and then our darks, just like that, alternating. We'll sew it together just like a 4-patch. So we'll sew these two together and these two together, and then we'll sew both of the rows together. And this is the finished Connecticut block. Thank you for joining me today as we continue our journey through the 50 states with the Connecticut block. Please subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos that we put out. Have a wonderful day and happy quilting.